I definitely had other things in mind that I wanted to do, but it was just not to be.
Jimmy Sr. could barely support the family on his musician's salary, and he was smoking pot to ease his troubles.
She had decided to stay home and be a mom. And he was struggling being a musician, and us kids were hungry. And she said, you know, I have a God-given gift. I have to use it.
In order to utilize that gift, I was going to have to leave home. So that meant going away from my kids or being away from home, and I just didn't want to entertain that idea. But when I thought about it, I said, no, you can't be that selfish.
Reluctantly, Gladys went back to work. She moved to New York and rejoined the 3 remaining Pips. They were now being managed by socialite Marguerite Mays. She set out to transform Gladys into a sexy superstar. Marguerite dressed Gladys in her own $1,000 gowns, and she hired Broadway tap legend Charlie Atkins to choreograph their signature moves. As Gladys attracted more attention, Jimmy slipped deeper into drug use.
I think some of the pressure of Gladys being Gladys Knight may have came into play with my brother-in-law, and he just couldn't deal with some of the pressures.
Husband pressures. I'm a jazz musician pressures. I need something to say around here pressures. All of that. That's a bit much for a kid, you know.
The breaking point came at a tour stop in Columbia, South Carolina. Jimmy, high on drugs and alcohol, started an argument with Gladys.
One of the fans came to me and told me that somebody was attacking my sister. And I ran out of the building where we had performed and saw that it was my brother-in-law on the bus. And I got into it physically. All I knew is that I saw my sister being hit.
The next day, Jimmy, embarrassed and contrite, told Gladys he had to leave.
And that was okay with me, to tell the truth. Because if we're not going to get along or there was nothing I could do to help you, I can't save everybody. Sometimes I just got to save me. Just let me save me. And with that, I got 2 kids now, so I got to save them too.
Gladys was 20 years old and a single mother. Her own mother, Elizabeth, would now have to raise the kids in Atlanta while Gladys stayed on the road.
No matter how often she would have to go or how long, if she had one day, she would come home. And that made the difference.
Giving up is hard to do.
Gladys hoped her sacrifice would pay off. She needed a breakthrough record. And in 1964, Motown was just the place to get it.
I just can't break loose from it. No.
In 1964, Motown was a hit-making factory that wanted Gladys Knight and the Pips on its roster.
Gladys can sing anything. I heard Gladys sing The Tracks of My Tears. I didn't even want to sing it anymore. I heard her sing it, man. You know what I mean? I was embarrassed to try to sing it because, ooh.
The 7-year Motown contract came with a lot of stipulations, but no guarantees. Everyone in the group was elated, except Gladys.
She was outvoted. She went to Motown hollering and screaming. I don't want to go over there and get put on the shelf.
I won't say that they were treated really badly, but I just don't think they ever quite were given that, like, A treatment.
We were never, in my opinion, part of the in crowd. All the new acts would get the hand-me-down stuff, like from the Temptations or from Diana and the Supremes. Well, you can do so much to make it yours, but it's already been worn.
But Gladys was a competitor, and she figured out how to do more with less.
I mean, I heard it through the grapevine with just a song, you know, with a melody. Gladys, so, ooh, I bet you're wondering how I knew. I bet you're wondering how I knew. Baby, 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 got plans to make me blue. And then we would say, ooh, 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 ooh. Well, yeah, well.
She's in the studio. You say, okay, Gladys, this is how the song goes. And then she Gladysizes it.
Grapevine was the #1 song on the R&B chart for 6 weeks. Less than a year later, Marvin Gaye made the song an even bigger hit on the pop chart. But rhythm and blues fans never stopped loving Gladys's Grapevine. It was 1967, a time of free living and free loving. But Gladys was not a part of it. She nearly nixed her Motown hit, If I Were Your Woman, because the song romanticized infidelity.
It's like if I do a song, I got to believe it before I can make you believe it. Okay? So I can't be singing about no free love if I ain't about that. You know, I can't be talking about, let me go over here and sleep with your husband. I can't do that. If I were your woman and you were my man.
I think that's part of what makes my mom who she is she can't lie very well. You really feel exactly what she's feeling.
You're all of me, and you don't even know it. I'm what you need, but I still have things to show it. If I were your woman, you were my woman.
If I Were Your Woman went all the way to #1. One writer praised Gladys for her revival meet-and voice. But by 1973, Gladys was fed up with Motown and decided to move on.
When Gladys Knight and the Pips left Motown and went to Buddha Records, they really got the kind of superstar treatment that had been missing, or they felt had been missing at Motown.
For her first song at Buddha, Gladys went straight into the studio without rehearsing.
I told the engineer, I said, push the record button, buddy. Push the record button, and that kid, bam! First time down is what you hear.
He's leaving on that midnight train to Georgia. Leaving on the midnight train. Yeah.
In 1973, Midnight Train to Georgia was a crossover mega hit. The album, Imagination, went gold and produced 2 more hit singles, I've Got to Use My Imagination and Best Thing That Ever Happened to Me.
'Cause you're the best thing that ever happened to me. You're the best thing that ever happened to me.
She has this kind of earthy, gritty kind of quality to her voice, and yet it sometimes can be really smooth.
Gladys sold millions of records and won 2 Grammy Awards. She was a superstar.